So it's the French group, but I believe you
Yes.
focus on beginners rather than
Basic,
proficient
Yeah,
speakers.
I'm not up to the other standard. It's basic French, and that's what I sort of started out to do. And then, of course, there was a conversation class if other people could go. Although, funny enough, I don't think any bad group actually felt that they wanted to go to, or they were good enough to go to the conversation, which is perhaps a bad thing for me. But on the other hand, we did have one or two people from the conversation class coming to join us because it was that little bit too much for them. They couldn't cope with it, and so they actually joined us, which was quite nice. But we are really a basic, and I think, we call ourselves basic, but I like to say get by in French, so that it's literally a getting by. So that if you go for a day or a holiday to France, you can just join in or ask directions and things like that, sort of ask directions, go into a shop, ask for things like that. So it is more the sort of basic get by, and know some of the signage, etc., what's open, what's closed, what days they're open and
Yes,
closed,
yes.
and things like that. So just general, but some of the one or two as a group are really good enough to do that little bit more now. We've got two sort of stages. Some are the lower stage where they're still sort of learning and basic. In fact, one lady, when she came to the French class, and this was before I actually did it, when someone else did it, she'd never learned French in her life before, but she had a sister over in France. So she used to go to her sister, and her sister unfortunately has moved over here now. But when she was over in France, I know this member said that the last holiday she had over there, she really enjoyed because she actually felt more capable of joining in, more confident to join in, and she was talking to the neighbours and everything else in French. So she said it really made her holiday that last year she had. So she's got very good memories of that, but we're lucky now that we did lose a couple of people, and I felt really sorry for them, but I don't think we were offering them enough in our class. And I did feel sorry for them, and I did put a sort of a basic help out to the U3A at one of the meetings which you possibly went to see if there was anyone else who would be there who'd be willing to come along and help us with the conversation side. Reuben came at one stage, bless his heart, and then Glyn came, and Glyn, I thought he'd only come every so often, but he's been coming every week. So there is someone else. So hopefully we will, when we get back again, we can do more on the conversation side, or they might like to set up a new conversation group, French conversation group. I don't know, but it's a commitment. It's a weekly thing. It's a commitment, and again, I think you have weeks where there aren't so many sometimes because we don't, well, that's another question probably, but we don't stop for holidays. We don't stop in the summer for so many weeks like so many of the other groups do. We carry on.
Right.
And I haven't been on holiday for 2 or 3 years, so unless I've got something specific on, we just carry on,
Right. So you meet once a week. Which day of the week do you?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
We meet Tuesdays from 10:30 to 12:30. We meet here, and we've got a fairly large room. We've got the garden where we come in the summer,
Yes.
and we've got a fairly large room over there, so that does us for that. So we meet then, and it costs 50p to come, and that's for tea and biscuit, and usually there's a bit of cake as well if people want it, etc. And also sometimes I do photocopies, etc., of bits and pieces that we've done during the lessons, so that's all included as well. So, whereas again, if we had rental accommodation, you've got to pay a lot more, haven't you? Sometimes.
And presumably then, no, but you don't need any skills before you come along. You don't even need to know any French.
Well, the thing is, we thought that it might be a little bit difficult if someone hasn't got any knowledge whatsoever. So the proviso was that they did basic French, possibly at school or something. So this is how we usually say. Though we have had one or two people come in, but the trouble is sometimes, Tony, I think you find that if you do that, you're going backwards with the class all the time because you've only got the one class. If you go to a proper class with a teacher, and I'm not a teacher, I'm a leader, and it's in my house, and that's
Yes.
why I sort of take charge of the lessons. But if you go to one, then you usually follow a curriculum, whereas we don't. And so I'd rather make sure that everyone in the group understands what's been going on during this whole thing. So it might take that little bit longer. And if we keep going back to people that are basic French or no knowledge at all, we'll never grow. If we could have 2 or 3 classes, then I'd be quite happy to start from scratch every time. But so we've said that if they've learnt either at school or they've got a bit of a basic knowledge,
Yeah, and so many
then
of us
that's
did.
fine. But nothing,
So
some
many of
people
us did do French at school, didn't we?
A lot of people did, most people did in those days, yes. I mean,
So, if someone were to join now, would they find it easy to fit in? Is it a friendly group?
I hope so. I think it is. I mean, we've had some lovely people over the years, and I think most people will accept people, and I find it a friendly and informal group. Yes, I would say, what I say to people if they've phoned up any time, I said, give us a try. Come for a week or a couple of weeks and see how you get on. And if you find you really don't like it, then fair enough, but just come along and give us a try.
Now you've got a book there. Is there a book there you wanted to show us?
Well, it's just a breakthrough, and I followed this. I followed it myself when I did a course, and I just think it's quite a good book, a breakthrough book. Probably there are others around now, but it's just that this is the one I've got. I've got some extra copies of it so that when people come, most people have got their own in the class in actual fact, but I have got some extra copies so that if anyone wants to ever borrow one, take one home and then perhaps decide, yeah, it's worth getting, that's fine.
Yes.
There are others around, but this is the ones that I sort of grew up with, and therefore, it's the one we follow, and I find it quite good actually. But and it just gives you all the grammar, and it goes from the start, and it gives you all the grammar, etc. So we've tried to follow that as a book, but we do go and do other things as well. We sort of sometimes we might follow a tape or a CD or something like that. I don't know if you've ever heard of a man called Michel Thomas.
Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Yes. Well, sometimes we do his tapes, etc. Because although he's got quite an old-fashioned way of speaking in some ways, I find, he uses lots of words that are very, very similar to the English words. And then I've said to people, you come out after listening to him, you think, wow, I know a lot more French than I thought I did, because some of the words are so very similar. You just got to put a little bit of an accent on it.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about the group that I haven't given you the opportunity to say?
I don't know. I mean, I think possibly, I think one of the things was how we conduct our morning. We start off in a how should I say? Sorry. No, we start off by, obviously, if there's anyone new, we'll introduce them. And then we always start off with the same things like the date and the weather and the time. We always do that each week. Because again, it's, repetition all the time, so that's quite good. And then, as I say, everyone gets a little chance of saying something about what they've done during the week or bringing something to it. It might be a quiz, it might be a recipe, something that they've worked out during the week that they wanted to talk about. Then we always try and do something on the grammatical side as well, and that's where we bring in about books and things like that. We have quizzes sometimes. It might be bingo, because we're learning the numbers, so that's good for the numbers. It could be a word bingo or something or other for our vocabulary. Another little quiz sometimes. We do scenarios where we might be in a waiter or a shopkeeper, and the customers go into the shops and things, sort of to try and practice that side of it in case we go over to France on a visit. But so, and as I say, fairly basic. Or sometimes we've read from a book This book here does have some passages in it, so I think it's quite important to read as well as, you know, for everybody to have the opportunity of reading each week. So we do that as well. We always start off with a cup of tea and a cake, because I think that does help, because two or three people have lived on their own for a long time, and therefore, you know, sometimes they haven't been out very far, so it's quite nice to come along, have a chat, sit down informally, chat for a little while, and also you get to know the person as well. And over the years, we've had people that have become quite good friends or gone out together, apart from the actual French group, so which has been nice as well. So you know, I think.
Well, merci beaucoup.
You're welcome.